Have you ever noticed how hard it is to say no? How can this small, simple, one-syllable word get stuck in our throat as if it weighed a ton? For years of my life, I believed that being a good person meant saying yes to everything and everyone. Yes to the extra project at work, even if it's overloaded. Yes to the invitation that didn't interest me, just so as not to disappoint. Yes to relationships that drained me, because I thought that was what love demanded. Until one day, in a moment of complete exhaustion, something changed. I said no. And in that no, I discovered something revolutionary. For the first time in a long time, I breathed peacefully. Today, I want to share with you the most important story of my life. The story of how a single word, no, became the key to a transformation I didn't even know I needed. How she taught me not only to protect myself, but to truly love myself. Since childhood, we are taught that good people say yes. That being helpful, available. Accommodating is a virtue. That saying no is selfishness, lack of love, absence of generosity. We grow up believing that our goodness is measured by the number of times we put others in front of ourselves. That our value as human beings is directly linked to how much we can please, meet the expectations of others. I was one of those children, and I became one of those adults. For years, my identity was built on a fragile foundation, the approval of others. Every yes I gave was, in fact, a desperate attempt to be loved, accepted, considered necessary. The problem is that a life built only on sins is not a life. It is a performance. And performances, no matter how perfect, always come to an end with the performer completely exhausted. I remember a time in my life when my schedule was always full, but my heart was always empty. I was present everywhere I was asked to be, except the only place that really mattered, in my own life. I had become a person available to everyone, except myself. I knew the dreams, problems, and needs of everyone around me, but I had completely lost touch with my own desires. Every yes I gave to others was a no I gave to myself. Yes to yet another unnecessary meeting was no to the time I needed to rest. Yes to one more favor was no to the personal project that had been shelved for months. Yes to yet another social engagement was no to the creative solitude my soul needed. I was living a cruel emotional math. The more I tried to add to the lives of others, the more I subtracted from my own. The breaking point arrived in an unexpected way. It was any Thursday, and I was on the verge of exhaustion. I had worked late for the last 15 days, helped 3 friends with changes on the weekend, took on a volunteer project that did not inspire me, and still kept the smile of someone who everything was fine. When my phone rang and I heard yet another request, seemingly simple, seemingly quick, seemingly unimportant something inside me simply said, enough. For the first time in years, I said no. Not with anger, not with elaborate justifications, not with endless apologies. Only, I can't help this time. The silence on the other end of the line scared me less than I imagined. And the feeling that came next completely surprised me. Relief. A deep, liberating, almost physical relief. That was not much more than a spoken word. It was the first brick of a frontier that I didn't know I needed to build. The border. Between where I ended and where others began. Between my real responsibilities and the responsibilities I had taken on out of fear, lack, or conditioning. In the days that followed, something extraordinary happened. I started to listen to myself. For the first time in a long time, there was enough space inside for my own voice to echo. And what she said was revealing. I was tired. I was lost. I was living the life I thought I should live, not the life I wanted to live. That one had not opened a door to an unexplored territory, my own interior. And inside, I discovered someone who had been neglected for years, myself. Society teaches us that love manifests itself through yes. That loving someone means always being available, always present, always willing to help. But no one tells us about the kind of love that is expressed through no. The no that protects your energy so that you can offer it with quality, not quantity. The no that preserves your time so you can spend it consciously, not compulsively. The no that keeps your integrity intact so that you can be authentically helpful, not falsely helpful. I discovered that there is a deep way of loving that begins with a no to everything that diminishes us, exhausts us, diverts us from our essential purpose. And this one does not create room for much more powerful yeses. Yes, chosen consciously. Yes, given with genuine joy, not with disguised obligation. When I started saying no more often, the people around me reacted differently. Some were surprised, others a little angry, some even hurt. But the reaction that caught my attention the most was my own. I started to respect myself. For the first time, I was treating my energy as something precious, not as something infinitely available to any external demand. It was honoring my time as a valuable resource, not as something I owed to anyone who asked. It didn't make me a selfish person, it made me a conscious person. The difference is fundamental. Selfishness is concerned only with itself. Consciousness cares about itself in order to be able to genuinely care about others. One of the most surprising discoveries of this journey was realizing how my sins became more powerful when my no's became clearer. When I stopped saying yes out of obligation, I started saying yes out of inspiration. The time I saved by saying no to empty commitments, I invested in relationships that really nourished me. The energy I preserved by refusing projects that didn't make sense, I channeled into work that fulfilled me. The mental space that I protected by denying unnecessary requests, I used to dream, create, grow. My sins have become rarer, but infinitely more valuable. People began to realize that when I said yes to something, it was because I really wanted to be there, not because I felt obligated to be. One of the inevitable consequences of starting to say no is that you spend more time alone. Some invitations stop coming. Some people walk away. Some relationships turn out to be more superficial than you imagined. At first, it scared me. I confused this decrease in social movement with loneliness. But gradually, I discovered that there was a fundamental difference between being alone by abandonment and being alone by choice. Loneliness is the painful absence of connection. Solitude is the nourishing presence of oneself. And it was in solitude that I finally found myself. It was in the silence of the no's that I learned to listen to the music of my own existence. Saying no, I discovered, is one of the bravest acts we can perform. Not the heroic courage of the movies, but the silent courage of the everyday. The courage to disappoint so as not to deceive yourself. The courage to bother so as not to be violated. The courage to be misunderstood so as not to get lost. Every no I learned to give was a small act of internal revolution, a statement that I mattered, that my feelings, needs, and limitations were valid, that I wasn't responsible for carrying the world on my back, nor for making everyone around me happy all the time. The peace I found wasn't the absence of problems, it was the presence of authenticity. When you align your actions with your values, when your choices reflect your real desires, when you stop living for the approval of others and start living for your own integrity, something magical happens. You finally feel at home in your own life. It is not a static, unchanging peace. It is a dynamic peace, which is renewed with each conscious choice, with each unsaid with self-love, with each yes offered with true generosity. A common concern when we start to set boundaries is that we will lose important people. And the truth is, some relationships don't really outlive our authenticity, but those who survive become infinitely richer. When you stop saying yes out of fear and start saying yes out of love, the people around you start to trust you more. They know that their presence is chosen, not forced, that their support is genuine, not performative, that your affection is real, unconditioned. True relationships don't just outlive their no's, they thrive on them. Because people who truly love you want your happiness, not your infinite availability. I learned that there is a beautiful paradox in self-love. The more you love yourself, the more love you have to offer others. No less, no more. Because the love that comes from a full well is far more abundant than the love that comes from an empty well. When you take care of yourself, you don't become less generous, you become more consciously generous. Your donations become choices, not compulsions. Your kindness becomes sustainable, not self-defeating. I discovered that loving yourself is not a single, grand event. It's a series of small daily revolutions. It's saying no to the comment that will hurt you. It's saying no to food that doesn't nourish your body. It is saying no to thoughts that lower your self-esteem. It's saying no to people who drain your energy. And each of these little no's creates space for powerful little yesies. Yes to the rest you need. Yes to the food that nourishes your body. Yes to the thoughts that lift your spirit. Yes to the people who celebrate who you are. When you learn to say no, you gain precious freedom. But all freedom comes with responsibility. The responsibility to choose consciously, to discern between what is really important and what is just urgent. Between what serves your growth and what serves only your ego. This responsibility is sometimes frightening. It's easier to say yes to everything and blame circumstances for our life not being the way we want it to. It is more challenging to assume that we have the power of choice, and therefore, responsibility for the consequences of those choices. I understood that my no's were not acts of selfishness. They were acts of protection of my essential yesies. Every no I gave to something that didn't resonate with me was a yes I preserved for something that really mattered. The no to the project that didn't inspire me protected the yes to the work that ignited my passion. The no to the toxic relationship preserved the yes to genuine connections. The no to activities that exhausted me kept energy for experiences that renewed me. One of the most challenging parts of this journey was unlearning. Unlearning that my worth was tied to my usefulness to others. Unlearning that being loved meant always being available. Unlearning that taking care of myself was a luxury, not a necessity. Unlearning is more difficult than learning because it involves questioning truths that we considered absolute. It involves admitting that we may have lived for years based on false premises. It involves the courage to rebuild our identity on a more solid foundation. Self-love. When I started treating myself with the respect I deserved, something interesting happened. The people around me started to treat me with more respect as well, as if my behavior was a mirror that reflected how I expected to be treated. I found that when you set clear boundaries and keep them gently, but firmly, you teach others how to interact with you in a healthy way. You become a model of self-respect that inspires others to respect themselves more as well. The most transformative lesson life has taught me is this. Self-love isn't a feeling you expect to get to. It's a daily practice you choose to cultivate. And the most powerful tool of this practice is a two-letter word. No. Not for everything that dims its light. Not for relationships that drain your energy. Not for commitments that violate its essence. Not for people who don't respect their boundaries. Not for the version of you that others expect, but that is not authentic. And when you learn to say those no's lovingly and firmly, something extraordinary happens. You make room for the most important yesies in your life. Yes to your deferred dreams. Yes to your inner voice. Yes to relationships that nourish your soul. Yes to the work that makes your heart beat faster. Yes to the person you really are, not to who you think you should be. The secret to inner peace isn't in pleasing everyone, it's in honoring yourself. It's not in always being available to others, it's in being present for your own life. It's not in being perfect, it's in being authentic. Today, I invite you to experience the transformative power of a non-conscious, start small. Say no to something you would normally accept out of obligation, not desire. Notice how you feel. Breathe in that space you have created for yourself. And remember, every no you give to what doesn't serve is a yes you preserve for what really matters. Every limit you set with self-love is an invitation for life to treat you with the respect you deserve. You don't need permission to love yourself. You don't need excuses to protect yourself. You don't have to justify your own importance. Self-love is not selfishness. It is responsibility. The responsibility of taking care of the most important human being in your life, yourself. What about you? What no do you need to say today to start loving yourself more? Share in the comments what limit you need to set to protect your inner peace. Perhaps your courage inspires someone to also choose self-love. If this reflection touched your heart, leave your like and subscribe to the channel. Every day we explore paths to a more authentic and fulfilling life. See you in the next video. And remember, you deserve your own love. Get started today.